Hi, welcome to For Goodness Sake by Mean Old Granny Anderson. Tonight I'm going to share a column I wrote a few years ago when we lived in the house where I grew up. It's a beautiful 1906 home. We no longer own the home, but it's a cool house. And this was called Invincible Rose Bushes and Marriages. By our old carriage house turned garage grow 3 rose bushes. They have been in the yard for as long as I can remember. 2 of them were originally planted in my mother's vegetable garden 40-some years ago. I moved them to the current spot a couple years after we bought the house from my mom, when we turned the garden into a lawn. I probably should not admit that, because my husband will surely see this, and it could end our long-term marriage. You see, he and my son have been trying to kill those rose bushes for years. When my son and I were painting the old building about 5 years ago, the bushes' rambly, thorny branches poked and pierced us constantly. I now understand the term for a rambling rose. If we came within 50 feet of them, we would be cut and bleeding. Like the plant in the play The Little Shop of Horrors, their thorny arms reached out and grabbed us. My frustrated son announced one day, "I'm going to dig those son of a bushes out, and they're not going to exist." I didn't really object. I myself had cut them back year after year, spent many summers with scabby, bleeding arms and legs. Originally, I started cutting them back because I had read somewhere that they should be cut back each fall to prepare them for winter. And they seemed to love it. The more I chopped, the bigger they grew. At that time, like my mother, I saw them as beautiful, delicate flowers, which needed tender, loving care. I would take the rose powder, as my mother had, and dusted the leaves off, hoping to kill any nasty parasites that might eat their delicate petals and leaves. I didn't need to worry about the roses. They are invincible. Soon after my son dug them out, digging at least a foot into the ground, I was sure they were gone, all gone. But I was wrong. Every spring since, their little green leaves have poked through the ground, eventually becoming nasty, attacking beasts. This spring, when my husband was repairing the window in the old garage building, he was constantly attacked. He finally announced, "I'm killing off those blankety-blank bushes if it's the last thing I do." He chopped and sprayed, dug and sprayed them again. A few leaves have turned brown and fallen off, but the bushes themselves are thriving. They simply send out new green stalks and seem to enjoy my husband's pruning. I tease and smile at his efforts, and I'm not really sure which side I hope wins. The thing is, when these bushes are in full bloom, which they never really were this summer, their tangled wild beauty is glorious. Anything that committed to living and giving beauty to the world, I have to admit, in spite of the thorny cruelty they have inflicted on my family and me. So what do rose bushes have to do with marriage? Well, other than the fact that roses are often associated with romantic love, these particular rose bushes' invincibility is what many of us hope for in our marriage. We want to create a marriage that can handle and survive whatever stresses life throws at it. The truth is, having a successful long-term marriage is about like dealing with the rose bushes. It's difficult and frustrating, full of thorny issues that can tear us apart and leave painful wounds. At the same time, there is nothing more glorious, beautiful, and wondrous than a long-term marriage where romance and caring continue to blossom. Stubborn and beautiful rose bushes and persistent romantic love both fascinate me. When I sat down to write this article, it was going to be a list of the principles of successful marriage. I was going to discuss how getting your own act together could help your relationship, how respectful, non-blaming conflict resolution is an important skill to develop in a marriage, the importance of knowing your spouse's love language. I'll have to tell you about Gary Chapman's 5 love languages. Look them up. They're great. Each of us have love languages that make us feel loved. I was also going to talk about how play and fun times with your mate are crucial, and how the foundation of romantic love is giving, caring, tender love day after day. Someday I will probably cover all those in more detail. But when I sat down this morning to write, the image of my poor husband fighting those roses kept coming into my head and made me grin. His energy and commitment to destroy the roses reminded me of his energy and commitment to make our marriage lasting and good. Believe me, we've had our thorny issues, but there is something that has kept our relationship going. There is something in all long-term successful marriages. Relationship researchers and educators are trying to uncover and teach what that something is that keeps romantic love alive and healthy. That is good, but maybe romantic love is like the rose bushes. It's just too stubborn to let a beautiful thing die. Talk to you next time. Have a great day.